everyone. My name is Madison Rouse. So for Book Review 2, I chose to read The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Here is the book cover. I don't know if you can see that. It was published in January of 2020, so it's not actually that old. It was written pretty recently, and it kind of involves things that still happen today. It was voted a New York Times bestseller. So the book begins explaining that even after the abolishment of slavery, the Jim Crow laws were passed in the South, and what these laws did was basically make it hard for African American people or people of color to even leave their houses. So it kind of made it where schools were segregated, public transportation was segregated, and even entertainment industries like theaters or restaurants, stuff like that. So it begins explaining all of that in the Reconstruction era and, how hard that was on everybody. And then it begins, it continues on after the Jim Crow laws were deemed unconstitutional. It starts talking about how the president at the time issued a war on drugs. So actually, the war on drugs weren't even a problem in the United States at that time. So everybody was kind of confused, like, why are we having a war on drugs? But then it kind of became a window to that racism and to that hatred because there was mass incarceration of a majority of African American men and young boys, and it just kind of gave them a legal way to do that. And so it continues talking about that, and it makes the idea known that even today, anybody who's convicted of a felony, when they are released from prison and they have served their time, they have trouble finding jobs, they have trouble finding housing, and they can't vote, and they're just viewed as an outlier to society. So it kind of, that's what it's saying the new Jim Crow laws are, is the stipulations placed on felons today. And I read this entire book, cover to cover, every word on every page. I did enjoy this book. It was a very interesting book. I am a huge fan of true crime, so it kind of tied in to both of those likes. Like, I like to read about history as well as true crime, so it kind of tied them both together. This book really opened my eyes because I guess I had just never really thought of how felons are affected, once they're charged with a crime, and it may not even be a major crime. It may just be, possession of something like marijuana, So I would highly suggest this book to anyone who likes history. This book, it not only ties in the past to the present, but it kind of is making everyone aware of the problems that are still happening today and how we need to improve on those. I would even suggest this to law enforcement. There was a bunch of stuff that dealt with law enforcement in this book, and I just feel like they would be very interested in it. So for my lesson plan, I've kind of decided, since this book does cover Jim Crow laws and the Reconstruction era, I kind of wanted to continue on that theme. And in 5th grade, there is a standard that says summarize success and failures of the Reconstruction era. And so I just feel like I could cover the Jim Crow laws. We could do some activity based on that, just to kind of make my students aware of what happened after desegregation, after the abolishment of slavery, and how it was still hard on African Americans and people of color. So that's what I've kind of decided to do. Like I said, I highly recommend this book, and that's all I have. Thank you.